All right, welcome everyone. Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for Apothecary Diaries, Season 2, Episode 9. Okay.
Family drama.
Yeah, spicy.
The royal family. Yeah.
Very
okay.
spicy, soapy stuff here.
But specifically tasked with this by the Empress. Okay, awesome. Empress Dowager. Right, because when we're talking about the Empress, we're talking about a different person that I very much want to learn more about. But, okay, Mau, you know, this is just another job, right? You're just looking into things and seeing what your sniffer turns up.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. There's a dead body that should have decayed.
But didn't.
That's
weird.
Love to maybe see what has been going on around this area. Like, who knows things? There's probably a larger thing going on, or this is actually a very tiny thing that doesn't really matter, but it's more indicative of some other things.
Right, because this is both solving the mystery of what happened and all that stuff.
Yeah.
While at the same time, help introducing Mau and also, you know, through her, us, the audience, to exactly how things work here. Because Mau's perspective has been fairly limited, all things considered.
It's been very fun the way the show has played with our perceptions of things through Mau's limited perspective.
Right, because she likes having that limited perspective. Not her business, you know?
Right.
Just keep doing her thing.
Less chance of having your head chopped off, you know?
But you've been kind of too impressive to be able to keep doing that. So
right, and we also have now hit that point where we know way more than what Mau knows. At least in certain areas.
Right. Oh, the brother. He'd be around Jinshi's age by now, I think. No, she didn't actually say that, but yeah.
Yeah, but all right, y'all, without further ado, let's get into this. Yes, and meanwhile, the tea party is happening. 6 years since then, okay.
Yeah, let's hear the request.
Of course.
Right.
Hey, Suiren. That face. Yeah, you don't seem loyal to a specific woman. You're more just... Yeah, you're a pawn, basically. Yeah.
I see.
The old lady loves to feel a little something, something.
Yeah.
Oh. These are Jinshi's toys, yes. We've seen Gaoshin be like, oh, yes, the toys, yes.
Oh.
Yes, yes.
Poor guy. Interesting. I wonder if it has any relevance now.
Ah. Right. Well, well, well. Why weren't we allowed to see it?
Oh. Oh.
Oh. Oh, we saw one in the late Emperor's room. Just so freaking cool. Just like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna do this tomorrow.
Right.
Yeah, there's one of those little things there. in the picture that was in Jinshi's little toy box.
Oh, yeah.
And it's in his box, so he's seen it before. So it's not so secret. Interesting. Whoa. This is his way out, basically. This is this the late emperor? I have an idea.
Okay. What are we gonna find? Gorgeous. Why hide something like this? Okay. Oh!
There it is. Dang.
Okay. Gotcha.
That much of it, too.
Yeah, so no wonder he... Oh.
Okay. Okay. Uh-huh.
Damn. Now, why did you think that... Well, Sure.
Whoa, what a way to put it. Yeah. Sure.
Right.
Damn. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Took her move, yeah. Dang.
Damn.
Wow. But she got what she wanted. Whoa. Whoa. Wow. Oh.
死を乞うて怯える男をいたぶった。男に手をかけられた幼い娘たち。
Oh.
深く思い出につなぎ止めるため。
So this is where she thought maybe she cursed him.
心を壊してあの胸に引きこもった。
Wow.
Damn.
What a story. Uh-huh. Yeah! Here we go.
昔あの方が私たちの元へ来たことがありましたね。
Yeah.
有王なのだそうです。
この石が
今朝睡蓮がようやく返してくれました。
不義のこと言われ取り違えられた子であろうと。
血若い娘の絵で淡く色付けされていました。この石を拾ったのはその絵を覚えていたからでしょう。あなたは好んでこの色を着ていらっしゃいましたね。
Damn.
Yeah. Yeah. The yellow garment was actually, that was her. It might be you, actually.
あの時あの方は何を伝えようとしたのでしょう。
知ろうとしないことを選んだ。
Wow.
それよりもあなた。
Changing the subject here.
Yeah.
見てきたのだから、お気に入りは隠しておかないと誰かに隠されてしまうわよ。
And that's where we bring it back around. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That was
Wow.
intense.
That was intense.
Okay.
All right.
That was
Very
a lot.
intense episode.
Yeah.
Gave us
man.
a very unique look at the current Empress Dowager and her story. And
Yep.
we learn a specific set of things with regards to not just her character, but the events of her life that led her to this point.
Right.
She was the head lady in waiting, or basically a lady in waiting to someone who was her sister from a different mother.
Right.
And then ended up basically kind of letting her fall flat so that she could then take her opportunity to become
And
the emperor's
right.
newest fixation.
Exactly. And potentially even, I'm not entirely sure if this was what was implied by the episode, informed basically that this is what the plan was, and that, the person that she was serving just wasn't aware of this, right?
Yeah, that's not necessarily the case. I see why you could glean that. But yes, it was definitely something that she took advantage of with full planning on her element there. Whether she was put there by her mother or by anybody else or her father specifically for
Making
that.
the best of a shitty situation, or, who knows,
Right, because there was the thing of her mother's situation, but also her father trying to use this for political advantage. So yes, there was definitely an opportunity for her to be put into that position.
Right.
But as to how she would act upon it, that ended up being her own agency.
Right. Yeah. But okay.
She was the girl of ambition. She was the one that
Right.
basically had the desire to do this and to take advantage of that.
Yeah, and I love that bit where she's then thinking about all the other girls, and she's like, yes, all these other, girls that have also, maneuvered themselves or been placed here or whatever, and then it's like, wait, no, they don't have any ambition. These are just people that are, yeah.
Well, right, but also to then take it in such a way that she then sees it as, how dare you forget me? And she made it her thing. She's not really that empathetic, I would say. Like the...
Oh, no, yeah, it's...
The person that she is a cutthroat, ruthless, I'm going to get what I want, and I'm going to get it whatever means necessary, yeah.
This episode was, in several layers... not even meaning to reference the whole painting deal, a whole lot of cycles of abuse, and the degree, how many, it's not confirmed for us,
No,
and
it's
to
not.
what degree of it being the same kinds of abuse or not, not confirmed to us, right?
No, in some ways, that's the show basically playing light with the idea that there's a lot of heavy, dark topics involved
Right.
here. And so we're just trying to give as many characters agency as possible so that we can make them enticing and interesting characters.
Well, and this is one of the fun things about having an episode that fixates on or revolves around conflict that has long since passed, because it doesn't actually make sense for the characters to necessarily have full 100% certainty of what the deal was.
no,
right?
that's why it's a flashback within her mind.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
there's-
exactly, right? You know,
It's not for Mao Mao.
right, was Mao Mao's interpretation of, yes, you have a protective mother that, you know, has to be extreme in order to keep her baby safe, you know, and to be able to do the things that, you know, he really wants to do, you know.
It's possible.
It's possible, yeah,
Yeah.
you know, right? Like that is a possibility.
That's a fair interpretation of
Right.
things of this.
Right. And also
yeah.
Mao Mao doesn't, you know, only has her unlimited perspective, right?
Right.
You know, maybe she would think about things differently if she, you know, could see the flashback to the, you know, you know, adult woman touches this person and he freaks out, you know, and tries to get as far away from them as possible, you know. But
Right. I do like the idea, though, that we're comparing this to Jinshi, and that Jinshi has had what I would call very childish antics throughout the show. It's been a source of entertainment for us, the audience, and it's been a source of pain for Mao Mao specifically, because he has done a lot of the same things, really, that the late Emperor has done, in that he just kind of abruptly jumps into her space and is just like, hey, you know?
oh yeah, right.
Tries to shove fingers filled with honey into her mouth.
Exactly. It's the
like-
the way that the show, like, yes, we can have funny antics, but then also no, Mao Mao's whole thing of like, I am not safe in this environment is really true, right? You know, and it's it's not a question of whether or not you would, it's a question of whether or not you could,
Yeah.
right?
And it's just a very simple situation of completely imbalanced power dynamics. So if she ends up in a situation where, you know, she's told to do something, she has to do it.
Right.
There is no questioning it.
Yeah.
She gets to be able to go and push his hand off her shoulder.
Exactly.
In that respect, yes, Jinshi is actually kind of creepy throughout the show, and that's why it's been so fun to see him change and grow and develop through interacting with Mao
Right.
Mao.
Learn how to be an actual functioning person,
Right.
because, the idea of when you're royalty and are, you know, living in this sequestered, you know, you are above everyone else kind of life. Yeah, you're not really going to be a very balanced and healthy
No.
individual in certain areas.
And so Suiren being somebody who was like, no, I intentionally removed things from him in order to make sure that he would have the opportunity to grow up and become an adult.
Right, like she saw the first 5 seconds of Emperor's New Groove and is like, we're not going to do that,
Nope.
you know, with the toy breaking and then 10 get, you know, shoved in his face immediately, right?
Gaoshin would still suffer because of this, though, you know,
Right,
again,
but-
reminding us of
but
the
that's him-
ticket Chad that Gaoshin is.
But that's Gaoshin earning his keep, you know, right? Like,
Exactly.
That's part of the dangers of employment.
Soldier on, struggler. Yes.
Exactly, you know.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
But yes, having these two characters being brought up in this way makes sense also because they're actual father and son. They're actual, like, fully just
Oh yeah.
biologically, you know, connected in that regard. While, you know, she's the Empress Dowager is obviously not his mother specifically, you know, because that was Aduo. We do have a very clear kind of.
Oh.
So yeah, hold on.
Okay.
So with then Jinshi getting to kind of see this person who got to have a perspective on his father in a way that he really never did.
Yeah.
In fact, the one time that it seems like he did actually encounter him was the time where he gave
Yeah, the
Jinshi
thing fell,
the little
yeah.
thing there that was actually the poison that ended up killing him. But from his perspective was the paint that reminded him of his first wife. Now that's not necessarily his wife, and again, it's concubines, and it's
Right.
not
It's-
necessarily his first either.
Yeah, and
he had a reputation already at that point.
Exactly.
So it's
But-
again, there's a lot of things that are vague, but
Right.
she left an impression on him not just because of their connection being one that lasted, you know, a good few decades or a couple decades at least, but also ended up being something where she like went to him specifically.
Well,
and
she specifically showed him sympathy, right? Like
I was talking about the point where she straddled him on the bed and was like tormenting him.
Oh no, yeah, that's where that's where like the whole situation of this show is complicated, and like you're right, Aduo was his actual mother, not just like a mother.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, because I was thinking that's where actually Jinshi came from there, but yeah. Okay.
Yeah, again, the previous emperor had many concubines.
Oh, yeah. Right. Yeah, absolutely. Well, and this is fiction showcasing royal families and being a prince and all of that stuff. That's something that, we've all had our fair share of that, right?
For sure.
But I got to say, I love how brutally cold this show is about the ways in which there is some sinister shit behind like just about every nook and cranny, because I feel like that's often missed in the rose-tinted lens look at the yes, but royalty and all that stuff, but yeah, this episode was it was a lot. Yeah.
Having the painting be the reveal of this, and that even from a horrible person, they ended up creating such art. I love the themes of that, because you could say that the palace and its slavery situation that's just so flagrantly being just practiced here could still end up creating situations where you then end up having such beautiful life happening. I think that's kind of the theme for this show, is that you're going to have these people that are mired in dark secrets and typical human flaws, some of them trumped up to very high degrees of intensity and severity. But even so, there's going to be moments of beauty and life coming from that. And the idea that then the Empress Dowager then goes to this moment and is like, oh, so this is what you hid from me. This is the precious thing. And she's almost looking for any like signs of her within it. And she kind of writes it off as like, oh, this, yeah, of course. And then Jinshi brings up the idea that like, you used to like that color a lot. And she like thinks, wait, the color of the dress on the girl, and if I grew up to be, maybe. And I just love that we don't get any confirmation of that, but that's where her mind went. To be like, maybe there was something of me that he remembered throughout all this. And after I broke his mind.
Yeah, exactly. And regardless of whether or not it's something that was actually the case, or just something that she thinks about, and that makes her then have
some peace, some resolution.
Some peace and resolution, lets her have a better outlook on life. Like great, right? Like, fantastic. And I think that's one of those areas where I think this goes part and parcel, like flip side of the same coin, with if we need to acknowledge that everyone is capable of acts of, horrific barbarism, right? And that is just as normal of a thing of being a human, right? Like, we can't say that those are some other, right? Where, we could never be like that. No, we absolutely could. The flip side of that is that the people that do those horrible things are also capable of doing good things as well,
of beautiful
right?
stuff.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like, and that's
complicated.
We
we don't like that as humans. We like boxes. We like things that we can name and contain and understand. And this was not one of those.
Nope.
This was a complicated, messy situation where,
a whole lot of shit was put into this fan.
A whole lot,
and,
like a lot. Now, I'm actually curious, though, about this, because this situation with the late emperor being like mind broke at such a young age. Like when we saw her on top of him in the bed there.
Right.
That was a while ago. Like that was not
right.
that was not when he's like, 60 or something like
Right,
that.
right.
So if he died 6 years ago, right, that
Okay.
means approximately a dozen years or so before that, Jinshi was born.
Right.
Which means then that while he was locked away in the room,
Yeah, and that's where
Jinshi was born.
right, and that's the part that
I know.
yeah,
That's what I'm saying.
well, right, and that's where I yeah.
It hurts my brain to think about, but I'm like,
Well-
wait, so
Well, and that's where there's that part of me that because all the stuff with Jinshi is so like complicated because the royal family has specifically been like, no, this is a whole secret. We're going to like.
well, that's the thing.
Even us with the clues, like I'm still getting confused about exactly what the situation is. Right. That's where there's the part of me that thinks that Jinshi came from this.
well, it's
night.
still no, it still wouldn't line up. The years don't line up. Jinshi's not that old. Jinshi's
Right.
a kid. Jinshi's like 18 or 19.
Right,
19
exactly.
at the oldest, honestly.
Yeah.
Because
So
again,
if
you're
he's-
older than Mao Mao. Mao Mao's probably like 16 or something.
No, right. Yeah. If we go for
17.
the like, okay, maybe the emperor here is like 40, and that'd be like pushing it for like the.
He would not be that old though in the image of Jinshi and him coming to Jinshi with the thing there. He looked like 70 at the time.
Sure. Although I guess maybe the better measuring stick for age here is not actually the emperor, but it's the empress dowager, because
Right.
we got a much clearer look at exactly how old she was at the start of this story, right? So
Yes.
then all of that,
Yeah,
but
she was a preteen. Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But
But then yes, in terms of the actual like time in that regard, it's yeah.
because I feel like the time for that could line up then.
But again, he's not her child. I'll have to go back and show you.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
again, there was the swap with Aduo and everything.
Right.
There.
Yeah, that whole thing.
Yeah. So it's again a situation of where the situation is one where Lishu was a carryover from the previous emperor's sent
Right.
there because he was always interested in little girls.
Right. And so and I like that they brought up that whole thing of even as things started to change, people of course are still thinking, okay, we're going to bring in the people that we believe will be have good chances with the royalty, basically.
Yeah. But again, Jinshi's memories are malleable with regards to how old this guy looked at the time. or
Right,
what
and
have you.
getting poisoned and stuff, I'm sure, isn't going to make you age gracefully.
Yeah, but it's not going to make you super age. And so the idea that we see his body in the coffin when it's still preserved and just fine, he was old. He was lumen old. Like he was post 65, He's like
Yeah.
completely like white gray hair, like sallow face and everything there.
Right.
The idea then that man 10 years at least, but not much more, approximately maybe 10 to at most probably like 15 years. But no, we know that it's more accurately going to be lining up within 1 year of Mao Mao's age because of her bringing that up there. So Jinshi being 1 year older than her in that regard.
Right, yeah.
So he's
Yeah.
he was born when the emperor was sequestered away. So there's some things that have been added in as questions. We'll have to see and just
Yeah.
double check that with our current info, but it could imply some things about the mother like bringing women to him.
Sure.
It could imply some things about how he changed his way that he viewed women as well also.
Well, I mean, yeah, I think that's part of why his mind ended up breaking there, because like if we go for the angle, right, because we don't have it confirmed, but if the mother was abusing the late emperor, right?
Yes,
and so
right.
that's why he's terrified of older women, and so then he only goes
Yep.
to little girls, right?
Yep. It totally feels like it's easy to extrapolate.
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
right.
Like
that's the cycle of abuse. That's where this
exactly.
all...
The show is clearly having that be an implication, whether or not that is a confirmed thing, right?
Yes.
Which then, cycle of abuse to him, to then abusing little girls, to then one of the girls that he abused then coming back to, attack him, right? But then someone that he had a connection with, and specifically was someone that went to him and sought to comfort him when he was basically, in the midst of that whole thing.
Yes.
Then basically comes back to get revenge, right? And then she's effectively potentially just like his mother in that moment, right? And so it's the, someone who already their mental state was not exactly great. I could totally see that being something where then it's nope, he just stays in a building.
Yeah, it also kind of brings up something as well, that if the mother had easy access to this, I just want to put a point towards the mother being who he was specifically hiding the paintings from.
Oh, sure.
Is that the mother would destroy these paintings because she would then know they're not about her.
Possibly, yeah.
Like, he would never do that.
Sure.
Yeah, that's not what he would do.
No, that's a great point.
So if he painted the smaller one of her when she was younger, and maybe he had this and was like, oh, no, I did this. No.
Yeah,
and then he does the bigger, older painting of like where she would be if he actually had the opportunity to be with her ever again. She would be older. She'd be more mature.
Yeah, and maybe that's the bit of like the late emperor growing in some regard of being able to look at someone with fondness when they're not a child. Yeah, and that also would lend potentially to why he would want someone that's specifically a mute, because other people not approving of what the emperor did, okay.
Sure.
But you just get a servant and you say, don't fucking tell anyone. If anyone finds out, I'll know it was you.
As long as he was treating the servant right, I'd see no reason for the servant to, go against his master in a way like that would potentially harm him.
But when I think about the idea of having someone who is physically incapable of even telling anyone what's going on, that goes to someone who would be able to get a servant to talk, right? And if you're not really being emperor right now, and that's actually your mother that's kind of running things, that seems like the specific person that would help you keep things secret from.
And this is all our speculation based around the stuff that these characters have speculated. It's a fun dynamic where, rather than this show delving into the to use this in a very additive way. There's an element of Mao Mao's character that is very much like Sherlock, in that she will, Sherlock Holmes to be specific here, she will draw data from things that are visually hinted at, but we as the audience aren't expected to have apothecary level knowledge in the hinting part, which makes it seem like she pulls all of this from just this limitless source of knowledge that she has by being taught by Lumen and her own experiences in this way. But then when it comes to actually drawing her, we actually get a lot of stuff going on in her head, where with Sherlock, we don't get that. We get, in some ways, this more fun version of things where we get to hear her speculate. Right. And then specifically not communicate those speculations because they're based on very loose data that she can't be certain about. Yeah. And thus we get to then speculate with her and be like, ooh, yeah, but also we can't be certain about.
Right. And that's also a fun way to kind of have a layer of indirection for, in some of the areas of the episode at least, for a topic as fun to have explored in fiction as child abuse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
I need to go take a shower.
And not knowing how deep.
Yeah, exactly,
goes,
right.
Which was also very fun, cleverly teased at by the idea that there were layers behind that painting. There were paintings behind the painting.
And we don't get to see those.
We do not get to see those.
Yep.
And I'm kind of a fan of the fact that then the Empress Dowager, knowing that they're probably back there,
doesn't look at them.
well, specifically is like, we're still going to destroy this place.
Right.
She wants to move on, basically,
well,
entirely.
I mean, well, because even though this was from a previous episode, it's still relevant, even if it might be easy to forget. It was just about every day that I wished that man dead. You know, right? Whatever ambition or agency she had of being like this is my moment to ascend a bit. I'm going to go and comfort this person, right? We still have the end result of just about every day I wished that he would just die, right?
Did she say that, or was that you?
When she brought up the idea of cursing him, like in the previous episode, didn't she mention that it was the...
It's weird, because I remember you saying it more times than I remember the show saying it.
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
I don't remember that actually happening in the show. I remember her thing being about, it was in the previous episode.
In the previous episode,
yeah. That's probably why I don't remember that specifically. You're talking about after we've already like fully introduced her, and they are doing the tea party and everything. Yeah, so I don't remember anything.
Oh, okay, wait. I think it would have been there. That's not. That's not the. That's
yeah,
not the
you
Empress.
said that. No, I think you've said that like 5 times now, and just kind of interpreted that as her thing. Because I don't remember the Empress Dowager bringing that up, because she's only in so many scenes where where she's actually like talking in that regard. So I would have thought it would have happened here during the flashback here, basically.
Oh.
Like specifically maybe at the point when he goes to another young girl, and her main thing of like negative is like to have
that he forgot her, moved on, all that stuff.
Man, forget me.
Yeah, right. No, I got that.
Yeah, so maybe she whispered some pretty crazy things into his ear.
Oh, sure.
At that moment.
Yeah, she was in full revenge mode, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But no, I do not.
Yeah, pass along to us if that was something that didn't actually happen, and I just,
Yeah. But then the final line of, Jinshi, you should be a little bit more like subtle about this, because, I've been watching you for, many years now. We have the lovely little look thing here of, right. So you should hide your favorites, or someone may hide them from you.
Yep,
which was such a fun, like, multi-layered line for his toys were hidden.
Right. It's a little like final lesson to leave the arc at, right.
And then the late emperor hid his paintings from everybody. There's an element of where in this world of intrigue, people are going to take advantage of those things that you hold dearest if you end up becoming their enemy.
Right.
And so, yeah. Empress Dowager is a very fascinating character to have now just kind of officially fully introduced, because she was introduced in the garden party, but it was like a blink and you miss it. Like, there she is.
We know what she looks like.
Yes, she was obviously very young when,
exactly, right.
She had the current emperor,
Yep.
But all right, y'all, thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You get on early access there. You can watch full-length timer reactions there, and all of this comes with Discord access, so you can chat with us in the community there about this show, about anime in general. And also be sure to check out our Twitch channel. So yeah, if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.